Yo, 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 what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. Two more playoff games to talk about tonight, both teams going up 2-0 in their respective series. I honestly don't have a lot to say about the Heat Sixers game, so I'm going to focus for the most part on the Suns Mavs series because right now, just with the Sixers not having Embiid, there isn't a lot to say. I'm probably just going to repeat a lot of what I saw from game one because it was a lot of the same. But let's talk about the Suns and Mavericks. This is a series that I predicted to go 6 games. It was one that a lot of people picked the Mavericks to even win. And to be honest, I think people forgot how good the Suns were. This Phoenix Suns team was by far the best team in the regular season. They're the reigning Western Conference champions. They're 52-0 now when leading heading into the fourth quarter, which is nearing an NBA record, I believe. I still don't think they've caught the Lakers from a couple years ago, but they're getting pretty close. This team is really good. And in my opinion, they, for a lot of the year, were kind of a tier above the rest of the league because of just how they were firing on all cylinders, their great coaching, their depth, their star power. They're a team that really kind of just has it all as an organization. And so coming into these playoffs, I think because of the Pelican series, people forgot how good the Suns were. There are a lot of people like kind of just forecasting, oh, the Warriors are going to win the West, that the Suns were going to lose to the Mavericks, or that because of that Pelican series, people were down on the Suns. And I hope that what is happening right now through these first 2 games against the Mavericks reminds people the Suns are still the best team in the league. They still are. And I'm going to stand by that opinion. The Suns have been dominant, especially in the fourth quarter of this game. First game, they were leading for the most part, and then the Mavs actually came back a little bit in the fourth quarter, which was a promising sign because typically the Suns dominate those fourth quarters. But tonight, the Suns won the fourth quarter by 14 points, and even then, that's a little misleading because it was garbage time. They at one point went on a 20-2 run. Heading into the fourth quarter, it was a close game, and the Suns ended up winning by 20. We're up by as much as 26 in the fourth quarter. Chris Paul went absolutely ballistic, ends up scoring 28 points with 6 rebounds, 8 assists on ridiculous efficiency. Devin Booker at 34-4. They, in the fourth quarter, they were just hunting like Luka Doncic the entire fourth quarter. They were just forcing switches, going at Luka, Chris Paul getting to his spots in the mid-range, hitting Devin Booker for threes. They were hunting Luka Doncic and making the Mavericks were forced to switch to a zone because of how much they were hunting Luka Doncic. They kind of just stuck Luka out of the way and were like, all right, we can't have this happen because every time they get a switch, they're making us pay. And that's what is so beautiful about the Suns. They are a team that if you give them anything, you're going to pay for it. You can't give the Suns anything. They will take and destroy you with whatever you give them. You give them turnovers, they're going to score in transition. Or if they don't, they're going to slow it down and end up getting a bucket. You give them a second chance opportunity, they're going to do that. You get them an open 3, they're going to end up scoring that. You give Chris Paul a shot anywhere in the mid-range, and he's 99% of the time going to knock that down. You give them momentum, or you let it be anywhere close heading into the fourth quarter, they're going to beat you. This is just it's almost like a flawless basketball team when you look at it. Of course, that's hyperbole because there is no team in the NBA history that's ever been flawless, but this Suns team is a great example of almost perfect roster construction, guys that complement each other, great coaching, star power. Between Devin Booker and Chris Paul, like, I think some people kind of still have that narrative idea that last year the Suns making the finals was a fluke. It wasn't. The Suns went to the finals because they were the best team in the Western Conference last year. And they ended up losing to the Bucks, who were the best team in the NBA. But coming into this year, the Suns now having that experience, having more years to kind of gel together, they were ready for vengeance, and they have come into this series. I think they probably heard the doubters, people saying, oh, the Pelicans are going to end up taking this series because Devin Booker's out. And then Chris Paul went out and had a phenomenal game to end up closing things out. You looked at heading into this series, people like, oh, Luka Doncic and the Mavericks just destroyed the Utah Jazz, which, yes, they did, but I think a lot of people were expecting, oh, the Mavericks are going to come out, take 1 of 2 in Phoenix, come out, like, end up beating them in 7. To me, I'd be stunned if the Mavericks beat the Suns at this point, the way that the Suns have played. Luka Doncic has had some incredible games. The whole last video I made was talking about how great Luka was for the most part of it. He had 45 points. Tonight he had 35, 5, and 7. Sure, he did get hunted on defense, but at that point, if you're carrying that type of offensive load, you're probably going to get hunted on defense regardless. But like Jalen Brunson only had 9, Dinwiddie only had 11, and like Reggie Bullock had 16 points. Outside of that, no one else hit double digits. And the Suns, you can't win when you give up 129 points. The Mavs, one of their biggest strengths is supposed to be their defense, and the Suns are carving them up. They're making it look easy to take out this team that has been on fire through the whole second half of the season, has a borderline top 5 player in Luka Doncic, a coach who's done a great job with them. They were really good all second half of this season, and it doesn't matter because the Suns are just so good. They're still the best team in the league. You can disagree with that. There are other teams, sure, you can say, but for me, I think that it's pretty clear that the Suns are the best team in the league at this point. You've got a lot of other great ones, but to me, the Suns are still, and I think I made a whole video titled this a couple months ago, the Suns are still on a tier of their own to me. The way that they're able to just destroy you in crunch time, especially. This is a playoff built team. They kind of just chill for the first 3 quarters. Like it might be a little close. And then the fourth quarter, they flip a switch. Unlike like many teams I've ever seen before, their ability to in the fourth quarter go like, oh yeah, okay, we're just going to close them out real quick, outscore them by 20 in this quarter. Chris Paul is going to score like 15, 16 points in the fourth. Devin Booker's going to go off. And we're just going to completely clamp you on the other side. You know, go after your star player so that he gets exhausted on defense, can't score on offense. It is unreal the way that they just systematically eliminate every opponent in their way once it gets to the fourth quarter. They're doing it at a rate that's hardly ever been seen in the NBA in its history, really. Like I mentioned, 52-0 this season when heading into the fourth quarter. That is absurd. That's ridiculous. You think they'd blow like one of them, but no. It doesn't happen. And I think it just speaks to the play of these guys. This team is really, really good. Chris Paul has been one of the best fourth quarter and clutch performers over the course of the last few seasons, really especially. Well, he's kind of been clutch his whole career, but recently, like since his OKC season, he's been phenomenal. He's been a guy that always just kind of coasts for the first 3 quarters, and especially in playoff time when it gets to that fourth quarter, he turns it up. Devin Booker is looking more and more like Devin Booker every game that goes by. DeAndre Ayton is a guy who was pretty quiet tonight. He only played 18 minutes, had 9 points, but overall he continues to be pretty solid. JaVale McGee and Bismack Biyombo gave them some good minutes tonight as well. Jay Crowder had 15 and 7. Mikal Bridges continues to do his thing. Just overall, not much you can really do when the Suns are firing on all cylinders. Like, I don't even think the Mavericks are that bad. I do think they still need a second star alongside Luka Doncic to truly win the Western Conference and be the contender that they want to be. But overall, they're not like doing that bad. The Suns are just better. They just are. And right now, I think they're better than everyone else in the league. So those are my thoughts on the Suns. If you're still one of those people that's sleeping on this Suns team, don't, because it is pretty clear to me that they are absolutely on a mission, and I think they're heading for their I think they're heading for an NBA championship, in my opinion, the way that they've been playing. I predicted it before the playoffs, and I'm sticking by that. I think now that they've gotten Devin Booker back, they really just didn't miss a step with getting him back into the lineup. As long as they stay healthy, which fingers crossed they do, every team, I hope that they do, in my opinion, they're going to win the NBA Finals. Moving on from that game, we had the Heat versus the 76ers. This is one that, like I said, I really don't have that much to say because the Heat kind of just won again in a similar fashion. It was kind of close in that first half. They were down. The Sixers were down by 8 heading out of the half. They kept it close in the third quarter, only losing that one by 3, but they just kept losing quarter after quarter. And when you lose all 4 quarters, you're not going to win the game. You know, I'm sure some great basketball coach said that at one point, but this team is just the Sixers aren't going to get wins without Joel Embiid. Tobias Harris is still playing well. He had 21 points. Tyrese Maxey was phenomenal. He had 34 points in this one in 43 minutes. James Harden only had 20 points. They need more from him offensively, especially in the second half. He's gone especially cold in the second half of these 2 games, and you can't be having that. They really need his production. It's just not there. I just think right now he's going to need an offseason to rehabilitate that hamstring. I still think that injury is keeping him back a step, and honestly, that step may never come back. He may never be the scorer that he was a couple seasons ago. Just because of the injuries that have racked up, he's played so many minutes and had to carry such a significant offensive load for a large part of his career. He just might have lost that step permanently, and that kind of just happens. It sucks, but it might just be happening. And then beyond Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, and James Harden, no one else scoring double digits. This is a team that desperately misses Joel Embiid. Of course, DeAndre Jordan started again. He had 6 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Paul Reed, who came off the bench, had 4 points and 4 rebounds to go with 1 assist. Neither of them were particularly great, but a fun stat from this series is that in the minutes with DeAndre Jordan on the court, they're losing by like a minus 60 or so. And in the minutes where he isn't on the court, they're actually winning. I don't know about that minus 60, by the way. That came completely off the top of the head. I saw some stat. I think it was Kevin O'Connor. Something like that. But they've actually won the minutes with him off the court over the course of this series. Like, which is only 2 games, but that's impressive. They've actually been kind of keeping up. It's just they don't have that big. They really needed to pick up another big they had to pick up another big other than DeAndre Jordan at the trade deadline. They didn't end up doing it. Of course, it was a freak accident the way that Embiid got hurt. It's not because he's injury prone. He just got elbowed in the face. There is some optimism that he will be back for the next game, which would be awesome to see because I want to see these 2 teams fully healthy. This was one of the series I was most looking forward to when both teams are fully healthy. And I think with Joel Embiid healthy, the Sixers can give the Heat a run for their money, but they're going to have to turn it around very quick. As soon as Embiid comes back, they've got to rattle off 2 or 3 consecutive wins or this thing's going to end pretty quickly. On the Heat side of the ball, Bam Adebayo keeps having good games, of course, without Joel Embiid. There's no one to really stop him. 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. Jimmy Butler had 22 and 12. He was phenomenal. That's 12 assists, by the way. His playmaking was so good in this one. 18, 7, and 3 from Tyler Hero. 19 from Oladipo. There are a lot of Heat fans that are saying we have to find a way to keep Victor Oladipo, and they should. I just don't know if they're going to be able to, like, financially. So the Heat continue to kind of do their thing. Jimmy Butler, shout out to him, has been really good over the course of these playoffs. I'm really curious to see the way that Joel Embiid coming back, hopefully when he comes back for game 3, impacts this matchup. But for right now, the Heat are just taking advantage of the mismatches, making the Sixers pay, and there's nothing they can really do. So those are my thoughts on the games from tonight. Let me know what your biggest takeaways were in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you all have to say. Please leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy. If you made it to the end of this video, drop a point god in the comment section below to let me know you made it to the end. But for right now, I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see you all later. Real one, say it back.